And now I get to introduce one of my favorite teachers of the Divine Feminine. This woman is an international best-selling author of the Sophia Code, which is a celebrated Divine Feminine renowned world oracle for the Sophia Dragon tribe. And Kaia Ra has been directly initiated by the Ascended Masters and Archangels since childhood. And she gives many live ceremonial events, speaking engagements, online platforms all over the world internationally. The Ascended Masters, Divine Feminine Ascended Masters speak through her and guide her in a worldwide movement for humanity's reconciliation. And actually the innate sovereign divinity return of the Divine Feminine Christ consciousness. She was on our show initially when we did a Divine Feminine show in August, and she was so incredible and wonderful that I wanted to invite her back again and tell us now what she sees in this incredible time on the planet and the total grounding and activation of the Divine Feminine now. Thank you, Kaia Ra, for being with us again today.
Oh, thank you so much, Deborah, for the opportunity to come back. It's so lovely to be here with you, and your own divine feminine leadership, your own oracular gifts, curating these panels for us to speak together and meet together at this time. It's so essential. And I want to say a warm thank you to all of our guest speakers and all of the spiritual leaders and divine feminine leaders and activists that are in attendance of this gathering right now. I know that uh, we have the privilege and the opportunity to speak to you through this platform, but I know that I can share from my heart pretty safely that every one of the leaders on this panel, we know that we're leading side by side with you, and we know that we're serving side by side with you, and we are honored to be here with you, serving your leadership and your divine purpose. We have a really big prayer at this time for the activation of humanity's sovereign divinity. And in my book, The Sophia Code, we share about a divine genome. And this divine genome contains all of the divine qualities of God, the divine mother and the divine father. Every single divine quality of God exists already within you, within every cell of your body. And that is why you are absolutely sovereign and holy within this world that is rife with pain and brokenness at this time. And it's important for us to understand that it's okay to look at that fully, full on, because we can only heal what we're willing to speak out loud. We can only truly create a new world based on what we understand isn't actually working. So with our eyes and our hearts wide open, I would love for us to just share this very simple prayer that you'll find at the very beginning of the Sophia Code, before Sophia's chapter, which in the Sophia Code, Sophia is the name we give the one divine mother of all life. And the one divine mother of all life, she is the heart of the divine feminine movement, consciousness. It's this return that we need to balance the Holy Father with the consciousness of the Holy Mother. It goes back to one of our deepest core wounds when we feel disconnected from the Holy Mother, and there's just this religious connection to the Father. We need this balance, because in that balance we come into the wholeness of who we really are as holy beings. So this prayer instantaneously brings us back into the heart of the Holy Mother. And I'll just say it together with you right now. And for those of you who are Sophia Circle leaders on our call or familiar with the Sophia Code, feel free to say it out loud together in support of everyone here at this gathering. It goes a little bit like this. Divine Mother of all life, take me to that place deep within your womb where I can know nothing and be reborn anew. I'm going to say it one more time. Divine Mother of all life, take us to that place deep within your womb where we can know nothing and be reborn anew. That's the heart of the divine feminine movement. It's the understanding that we don't have to know everything. In fact, we can let go of everything we think we know about this world, which most of it has been programmed into us the moment we arrive. And we can start to come back into a direct communion with whatever you call God, whatever you call source or spirit. It's the divine feminine principle of receptivity that brings you into a state of what we call communion. Not like what you experience in church. This is the authentic, true communion that the prophets and the ascended masters have been speaking about for centuries. And that is your direct connection to the source. In the Sophia Code, we meet 8 major divine feminine ascended master and angelic key codes. And they are initiating our consciousness in what this quantum communion means, to be in direct communion with the light of your source, of your higher self, of your own sovereign divinity. And what it means is that you don't have to understand this world, because this world has been so conditioned. What you get to discover are the downloads of God within you, pure source light solutions, and as well as a pure uninterrupted connection that you can lean into, you can lead from, and you can serve others from, free of codependency and free of the viral programming of this world. And here's why. That direct communion with the Holy Mother, it's a source of intuitive, intelligent feeling self-knowing. It means that when you're directly connected to your higher self and to whatever you want to call divine mother, divine father, God, source, it's like you're always going to know how you can be of service to the person or people in front of you. You're always going to be at the right place at the right time, because you're trusting a consciousness that's omniscient and that has got your humanity, loves your humanity, loves you as a human being. Your divinity is so much bigger than you, and it's a consciousness that can operate your human awareness in profoundly miraculous ways. So this quantum communion that you actually have access to is what we become initiated into through the Sophia Code, through section 2 of the Sophia Code, where we walk through these 8 initiations. And in that process, your human awareness is invited, right? Because that is the divine feminine. It's an invitation to the grace of who you already are. The divine feminine is an invitation, a reclamation to the holy being that could never be ultimately wounded or harmed in this world. And I do not say that lightly. I'm a survivor of multiple near-death experiences. So I have discovered through this communion that nothing can actually touch your soul's light. And when you're coming to a divine feminine service from that space, there's a few things that you can invoke in your relationship with others. The first is that when you are truly authentic in how you are relating with your human experience in your relationship with source within you, with God, whatever you call God, your higher self, and you're honest about the ups and the downs, you're honest about the hot mess of your humanity that's learning how to burn bright in the light of your divinity, you are making an invitation. You are helping other people soften as you communicate both about your victories and your challenges. You are becoming an authentic and real embodiment of this intuition. You're saying, hey, there are many days it's not easy to live by my intuition, to trust and have faith, and to resource this source beyond what this world is telling me, how this world is telling me to live. But I'm practicing it and it's working. And when you're allowing yourself to be a vulnerable mirror in that way, it opens others to the possibility that they could walk this path of divine feminine self-knowing, communion, intuition for themselves. The divine feminists and masters of the Sophia Code also speak about how important it is to recognize that we have a language of our soul that cannot be corrupted by this world. There's such a battle for our hearts and minds happening right now worldwide. But the reality is your direct communion with your source, with your higher self, which is a divine feminine form of communion, it is actually an invincible light of protection over your consciousness. And it allows for you to feel into your body and discover what is your true yes and what is your true no. It's interesting because maybes are actually a no until it's actually a yes. And the divine feminine movement is teaching us how essential it is to know our yeses from our nos, that it's safe to create emotional, psychological boundaries that allow for us to stand in our light and no longer accept that we need to be influenced by a lot of agendas that are running people around in circles right now at this time. When we connect with the divine feminine, we're connecting with a somatic, full body, full cellular soul knowing truth. You know your yes from your no through that intuitive connection to your body, which is in communion with God. We have to work really hard to lie to ourselves about what's actually, false, or, what we're being convinced that is something other than our truth. And that's why divine feminine consciousness is here to help us not only up level, but rise up collectively, because we know in our bodies and our hearts what is not real about this world. We know what needs to be left behind. And we know in our bodies and in our hearts, through our divine feminine intuitive capacities, faculties, just like we know what needs to be downloaded. We know what needs to be created in birth, and we know what it's going to take, because the divine feminine understands that nurturing and parenting our creations is just as important as birthing them into this world. So we got to roll up our sleeves. And so part of what divine feminine leadership at this time looks like is using language that invites your clients, your communities, your friends and family to explore and be curious in their body, not their minds, not their heads, not what they think they know. What is their body and their heart sharing for them about their yes and their no? The more we're somatically exploring our personal truth, the more we're stepping into our sovereignty and outside the codependency that we are so often programmed to participate in this world, in every facet of life. Finally, the divine feminine movement is setting us free by inviting us to become the masters that we already are. So many of us have come from across the cosmos for this collective angelic mission to activate humanity's sovereign divinity at this time. And the way that we know ourselves best is through the willingness to master our own relationship with life. It's just like we understand that we have to become a parent to our own reality. That is the divine from the mother that recognizes there are so many aspects of our consciousness that are coming online simultaneously. How do we nurture? How do we uplift? How do we expand beyond fear and into our greatest light at this time? It's like, well, we do that through a process of self-initiation. And the Sophia Code cosmology offers you an opportunity to mentor with key divine feminine ascended masters that view you as equals and are creating the space for you to mentor with them day and night so that you can get used to what it's like to actually live as a master in human form, which is essential because that's what you came here to be. So if you want to experience the daily ascension journey of what it really takes to live in the intuition, the healing light, the psychic abilities of the divine feminine principles within you, including this invitation to a quantum communion that's going to radically not just upgrade your consciousness, but lift it up to operate from a completely new context of your own sovereign divine light, well, you want to hang out with your friends in high places. And those are the ascended masters that I can't speak for all ascended masters, but I can speak for the High Council of the Sophia Dragon Tribe. And this is a high council that is here to teach us, to help us remember how to truly, authentically live in our sovereign divinity on a daily basis, and how to bring that self-knowing and that self-communion into our divine feminine leadership, which is desperately needed at this time. We need to heal our relationships with our bodies, our hearts, our minds through an intuitive space, not the ego space, not the mental body space. Mental body, all of our beautiful thoughts and abilities to articulate and communicate, if that is governed by the heart and our somatic self-knowing, now we are operating from a completely new context that's so intuitive. It always has the right solutions at the right time. We're able to download directly from the source, beyond the shoulds, beyond the have tos. Our mission, our angelic mission, becomes a get to through this divine feminine Christ consciousness of communion that's accessible to us every moment of the day. So I'm hoping that some of those points from the Sophia Code are helpful this evening for what we're all sharing and celebrating, that the divine feminine is here. It's activating all of humanity. We're not going anywhere. We're just so excited that so many people are joining us in this coming online together through the heart space. And thank you again, Deborah, for the opportunity to speak about divine feminine Christ consciousness tonight. It means everything to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please tell us about transforming trauma into soul power. How, when people go to kaiara.com, that's KAIARA.com, this is what pops up right away. Tell us what is that an online course that you're offering?
Yes, I'm really excited to offer Transforming Trauma into Soul Power. It's going to be a 4-month mentor journey that begins in January 2021, based on my own journey of radically transforming my life with the teachings of the Sophia Code. Many people know I'm a survivor of 18 years of extreme atrocities, and I witness how much we are all transforming personal and collective trauma, not just from this lifetime, but from so many lifetimes. And so we're going to go through some very key and pivotal teachings that not only have helped me survive my trauma, but really step into a space of thriving. So I want to share everything that I have in my heart about that journey of stepping into a thriving space through the divine feminine, and really just through a space of our sovereign wholeness, divine feminine and masculine, Christ consciousness working as one within us. So that starts this January, and feel free to reach out to our team angels at my website, kaiara.com. We're happy to get on the phone with you and share more about it. Thanks for letting me share about that tonight, Scott.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to encourage everybody to really check that out. Is that for women only? Just wanted.
Oh no. It's so beautiful how many men have been coming to the Sophia Code movement now, because the Sophia Code movement is about activating our sovereign divinity. It's coming through that divine feminine Christ message from these divine feminine masters, but it's all about our whole and equal sovereign divinity. So thank you for asking that question.